I have that I created to get into, instead of having to go back after that. Is that what you did? Yeah.
For Sunday, Charlie.
No.
Yeah.
One second, not at 9 o'clock yet. Okay, it's 9 a.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Becky, would you take roll call, please?
Tom Wilson,
Here.
Dave Bally,
Unmute Dave.
You're on mute, Dave.
Bill Palin,
Here.
Marvin Williams, Rick Humphrey,
Here.
Jack Scrogstad.
Here.
Now I
Okay.
believe I'm unmuted.
There you go. So, everybody here today, is there anybody that has anything that was not on the agenda to discuss? Any of the visitors? No? Anybody in Zoom? No? Okay, so the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. The minutes from previous meeting are on the onboard. Is there any corrections? If not, they'll stand as read. Okay. Also, the approval minutes, the claims, we're on claims for properties. They're on board. They were paid 211 to 310. It falls on the responsibility of the properties committee. If there's no comments, we'll move on to the department head reports. Okay. Greg is here. Greg Saunders is here. Do you have anything for us, Greg?
Not really, just we've been cleaning up the old jail a little bit, getting some of the stuff carried out and thrown away that was left there and trying to get a little more organized. Hopefully Mother Nature's gonna cooperate and keep the snow away for the rest of the year. We did get our Old Glory hanging again outside today, so we had the trees trimmed so that wouldn't get tore up anymore. That's about all I have.
Okay, thank you. Greg was here. I don't know where he went. Animal control, is Terry on Zoom? She's not on Zoom. Zoning department, they've all submitted reports. So we're through lots. And where am I at? Okay, right here. So Dee's not here. The reports are all in the onboard. There is, the zoning office is asking for a motion to pass petition 22P-1589 to the executive committee for replacement on the county board agenda. Can I get a motion to do so? Bill Palin, second. Jack Scrogstad, all in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Okay. Then there's another zoning, the zoning office is asking for a motion to pass petition 22P-1590 to the executive committee for replacement on the county board agenda. Can I get a motion for that? Or, placement on the county board agenda. Did I say replacement? I'm sorry. Okay, that's good. Can I get a motion for that? Jack Scrogstad, seconded by Bill Palin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed. That's not good. Okay, here it goes. Okay, so now, Renewable Energy Committee updates. Chris,
Tom, my apologies for interrupting, but Terry did join us now. I don't know if she has a report, but
Okay, let's, we have one more zoning action and then we'll go to Terry.
Okay.
So the zoning office is asking for a motion to pass petition 22P-1591 to the executive committee for placement on the county board agenda. Can I get a motion for that? Go ahead, Rick.
It's going to the zoning board, isn't it? The way I read it,
Um,
not going to the executive for a full board, it's going to the zoning board of appeals.
So I haven't looked at these. I'm sorry. Alice, can you clarify? Are these going to zoning or to board?
These will all be heard by the zoning board on April 7th.
So we're sending it to zoning, not to board for approval.
so to the executive committee, no, and to the county board, no. So we're going to the zoning board of appeals? All three of these?
But Charlie just clarified, the action we need is for the board to send it to zoning. So it needs to be on the board agenda to send it to zoning.
Okay, so this is correct. Can I get a motion to do so on the third one? I'll make that. Jack, seconded by Bill Palin. All in favor, say aye. Question, go ahead.
How does this relate to the moratorium that's in place as far as green energy and stuff? I mean, because this is a repower of the wind farm, if I'm not mistaken.
Alice, would you like to talk about
Yes.
that?
Repowers are not covered by the moratorium. The moratorium specifically states that repowers would not be included in that moratorium.
That matter if they do footprint or if they just put the existing towers up, or does it make a difference or not?
No. Their requirements are that they have to stay within the same megawattage that they were previously producing.
They can't put up any new towers, correct?
Define new tower, like replacement tower, or are you talking about?
They're repowering where it's not going to go above the megawatts that they currently produce, correct?
Correct,
They're not making it any bigger or smaller.
correct. Well, potentially smaller. They're looking to replace, they're going from 20 turbines down to 16 in Lee County.
Alice, I know there was a discussion, or I read it somewhere, about an exemption from having to bury the lines deeper. Does that involve this too?
For this project, it's not an exemption. When this project came in, it was under the old ordinance, and the requirements did not have them put it 6 feet deep or whatever our current requirements are. So we're not going to make them tear up that existing system and replace it with at the proper depth. We are going to allow them to maintain what they have currently in place.
So if they put up a new tower though, in place of one, what's the depth of the cable then?
They have to comply with the ordinance. If they are installing any new collection system, it will have to comply with the ordinance. Anything that's going to remain in place can stay at its existing depth.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got a motion from Jack and a second from Bill. Can we vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that is done. So then we're going to, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go to Terry. Terry, you got a report that you want to give us? Are you there, Terry?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. There was, I had Brandy run some reports. I've not really done this in a long time, but I kind of feel like the committee and the board should probably know like how things go around here in the split of a hat. So I don't know if you guys have those in front of you or can see them, but there's a graph that's incidents by type. And over to the right, it has the explanation of what that graph is. As you can see, one of the bigger ones are welfare. The other one is bites that we take care of. And that's just in the last 3 months. Well, actually, January through March 4th. So there's quite a few there. And then the entry by reasons, this is what the new database that you guys approved for us is able to do for us, is print out these reports, which is really nice. And then on the entry reasons, there's again, January 1st through March 4th. You can see like we've had birds, cats, abandoned, sick, surrender, dogs, stray, surrenders, and we had a guinea pig. And then the last one is the animals that have been brought into the facility. This is just March. So March 1st through the 4th, all of those animals that you see there are surrender. The last one was a board. There was a fellow that was incarcerated. His dog was left home. There was no family member to take care of her. So she was boarding here for a little bit. That's the only time that I will usually take a boarding issue. And the family did pay for her. So I just wanted to show everybody how we can go from basically 0 animals to all these animals at the beginning of March here, just 3 days. You know, how many we can get in at a time. So it can be kind of erratic around here. So I just wanted to show you this stuff, and if anybody had any questions on any of it, I'd be glad to try to answer.
Anybody have any questions for Terry?
Terry, this
No.
is Wendy. I don't have any questions, but I do like this report. I would love it if you would do this like on a quarterly basis and give this information to the board. I like it.
Sure. Yeah, I like how this database does these things. It kind of tells us quite a bit. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Terry.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
And one more, sorry. One more thing. We do have ordinances sitting on Justina's desk. She, I don't think she's quite done with them yet, but we do have ordinance that are going to be coming about. And when we get that draft back, I will present that to committee and then for layover when we come to that point. That's all. Sorry.
What's the ordinance regarding, Terry?
There's actually quite a few ordinances. I have people, so many people that are late and ignore us. We have like a 30-day late fee for not getting vaccines and registration. So it's kind of there's quite a few things in there, actually. People dropping dogs off that they know whose they are and they tell us they just found them somewhere. There's going to be a fine for that because afterwards we will find things out. So just different things like that that are coming about in the county that we run across a lot of that we'd like to change.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Greg, would you like to give your report?
Yeah, I believe everybody has a copy of the report itself. I'm just going to hit a few of the highlights, mainly on the first page. What you have coming before the county board this month is just a renewal of our drug and alcohol policy. And this one is specific to safety sensitive positions. So a lot of drivers, dispatch, and our mechanic would fall under that umbrella. If there's any questions, I can answer to the best of my knowledge about that policy. Normally, we do bring it to the county board, by the way, for just a stamp of approval. Since the last meeting, attended the annual RTAC conference, a Rural Transportation Conference in Springfield, had some very good follow-up discussions with IDOT on several different topics. We have done some new marketing efforts with a new marketing firm
You'll see the revised logo plus the new website. And then we're also going to do some efforts directly towards businesses to do something very similar with our current relationship with Crest Foods and providing rides to the employees to and from work. You'll see that the contracts, the agreements for FY 2023 are in process. I laid out the amounts, which haven't really changed that much, except for the I-39 5311 contract, which went up by 30,000. And then finishing some paperwork for the new vehicle procurement, which just came out on Friday with IDOT. If you would take a list, and maybe with the next report in April, I can actually share the aging of our fleet. We are in the process of requesting disposal of 9 vehicles from our system. And what we're going to request through this new consolidated vehicle procurement is 10 vehicles. It would be 7 light duties. So those are some of the buses you see running around, plus another 3 minivans. And then we also have some other vehicles in the pipeline. But all of those are probably looking at a year and a half out at the very least. So we need to get into the system before we really have a significant need with the replacement of those vehicles. Last piece I was going to introduce is on the second page. So on the back page of that first document, there's some Greyhound data, and these are real figures for July through November. I just thought they were interesting, and I want to share them with this committee as well as the board. This is a 5-month period, so you can see that for I-88, we have just under 5,000 rides that we provided between the months of July and the end of November. I-39, which is only running twice a day, is still doing just under 3,400 rides. And so I think both of them are pretty good, healthy positions currently. And if you have any questions about any of that or what else is on my report, please feel free to ask.
Rick?
Yeah, I got a question on the drug and alcohol policy, Greg. Is this a federal policy or? Yeah. And the reason I ask is I read through it a little bit and I'm concerned about the tolerance, particularly like in alcohol. I believe I read in there where an employee can show up with blood alcohol content of 0.02 and still be allowed to work. I would think that we'd want a zero tolerance on something like that. I don't know if that conflicts with our county policy or not, but it was concerning to me at least, especially if they're going to be driving vehicles and if they're our responsibility.
Charlie?
I'll take that one. This is actually a flow down, Rick, of information from the Fed. So if there's any updates as to the policy, it will be coming from them. And normally, yes, there is a zero tolerance of anyone associated with like a driving capacity. That's why these are safety sensitive. But what I can do, Rick, is I'll follow up with Midwest Truckers Association, which actually puts this policy together on our behalf and actually updates it. So it's rather.
Yeah, there's another
process.
Portion in there about a shy bladder, whereas if someone has to take a drug test or an alcohol test and they can't produce a specimen, after 3 hours are allowed to go home and they don't have to come back until 5 days later. Well, I mean, that's usually after the fact. So I just have some concerns about the policy itself. I'm sure it's probably something that's boilerplate from the feds, but I don't know if it's something we want to adopt without maybe looking at it a little closer.
Still want me to chime in?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the county policy in the employee handbook, I think that one lays it out. If somebody appears to be under the influence, that's when they're being tested. Obviously, there's a big difference between somebody that's showing up and doing clerical duties and somebody that's going to be driving a bus full of people around. So I think that's probably what the discrepancy may be.
And just as a follow-up, Rick, we also have our administrative as well as our dispatchers go through the reasonable suspicion training. So they're looking for those signs and key indicators if somebody is under the influence of alcohol or appear to be under the influence of some type of drug, that they can actually cite that, they can find out what that is and actually hopefully deter any use whatsoever or have any of that in their bloodstream when they're going to deliver some of our passengers. But I'll simply follow up with Midwest truckers as well on your questions.
I just know if someone's involved in a lethal accident, I'll call it, or a serious accident, they're required to take a drug and alcohol. But with that shy bladder in there, I mean, again, I was reading it on here, so maybe it doesn't overlap into that, but I'm concerned about if there is an example, it's a death would occur, that this person might not have to provide a specimen until 5 days later. So it just, I mean, there's some things in there that the way I read it, I was a little concerning. So
So is this something you want to table? Rick?
I don't know, is it action that we're, I mean, I see it's on here, but is it action that's going to be going from the board, or if it's
Going to the board. We're gonna vote to send it to the board. Or you want to table it and get the answers?
And is this something that's time sensitive, or is this something that they're just asking to be implemented? Currently have a drug and alcohol policy that,
Yes, we do.
what's the changes, I guess?
The changes would only be anything that came from the feds that were rolled down. So what we currently have is very similar in nature to what is actually shown in this version of the policy. So we're still under the influence, or we're still under the effects of that policy, and delaying this by a month, if that would be your choice, that I don't think is going to be very harmful to the district whatsoever.
But I'm just looking out for Lee County, I guess. My concerns are, the way I read it is so people can show up to work and still be under the influence and still be okay. And I think that's a problem, but maybe I read it incorrectly. I don't know.
So do you want to make a motion to table it for the month, or for a month, or so we can get the proper answers that you're looking for?
I'm just sitting here in my head thinking about, somebody has an accident and there's a death involved. If there's a suspicion of alcohol, or I think they're obligated to have a test done, whether
Yes,
it's
they are.
blood or alcohol draw. Is that
Hey, Tom.
Yes. Yes, go ahead, Charlie.
Rick, I was looking at the shy bladder thing that you were talking about, because I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't see anything on it before. I'm looking at it now. They're required within 5 days to go get a medical examination done to show that there is in fact a medical reason as to why they would not be able to provide a specimen. And if they don't have that documentation, then it's reported as a refusal. So it's just as good as a positive test at that point.
If you're comfortable with it, like I said, you have to read in there about the 0.02 and 0.04. I think it's in the blood alcohol content.
No, what page you looking at?
I don't even know. I was looking at it last night.
In the meantime, Greg, did you say this is time sensitive? Would you have a problem if we did table it in lieu of some additional information?
I believe we could wait a month if we needed to, because we have the existing policy in place, and that's still going to be enforced.
Does that make the committee feel any more comfortable about maybe tabling this issue?
I'll look through it a little bit more. And like I said, if I got any questions, I can ask Charlie. But
Charlie, I'm looking at page 8.
Okay.
Second paragraph, third paragraph. Actually, the first one.
So it sounds like that's the testing procedure, and it says if the line does not appear, the alcohol concentration is less than 0.02. That's probably just the median line that they have for it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're at 0.02.
It's surprised they don't have like a PBT type of
Sure.
instrument or have a sheriff's deputy come by and administer that PBT. And then if it's anything
Or even
above
state
zero,
police with an RBT,
huh?
or even state police with an RBT.
Yeah, or anyone, that, you know.
Is their licenses required to be, are they chauffeur licenses that they have to get? Or are they CDL licenses?
We have only one vehicle in the system that has a CDL requirement. Otherwise, it's effectively just the chauffeurs or a regular license.
I just didn't know if a chauffeur license would be acceptable to have a 0.02 as opposed to a CDL. I know my CDL is a zero tolerance, period.
Exactly.
So what's the 0.02? Is that a bus driver that can still operate a bus other than a CDL? Because a CDL I know is a zero tolerance there, you know, but if a chauffeur license could be different as far as is that what our bus drivers are currently under?
The message that I've always received in my tenure in the district has always been that there's a zero tolerance policy.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't want anybody under the influence of any type of either alcohol or drug whatsoever. We want them obviously clean of that in their system.
So Charlie, could we vote on this today if we changed the verbiage to zero tolerance on both of those instances, or we have to read?
I don't know what impact that has on any of the grants or anything as either. If he has to have this adopted in order to have that funding.
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is a requirement from the Federal Transportation Administration.
Well, here's a line in here, any covered employee who has an alcohol test result of 0.02 or greater, but less than 0.04 will be sent home. Well, to me, I think it's more than just sending an employee home. I think some disciplinary action or something. That's what I just got some concerns. I understand this is a boilerplate. They're not going to try to do everybody's policies for personnel, but I don't know. I have an issue with that.
What paragraph you on there?
Under section 3, prohibited behavior.
3, okay.
Most clear to the bottom, right before section 4. It's underlined and highlighted in bold letters.
It doesn't say there wouldn't be any disciplinary action with her. I think that's just the requirement to be sent home. And again, the presumption under Illinois law, and granted this is coming from the federal government, but the presumption under Illinois law is that you're not under the influence unless it's 0.08 or more. So I mean, you can still take your disciplinary action just like Greg would be able to do so.
I guess I was just more concerned about conflicting between our county policy and what this says. And somebody comes back and says, well, it says here, I just got to go home. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. That's not.
I guess this is a federal standard, but we've got our own home policy.
Sure.
That we could discipline because they came to the work after that. So I think, it sounds like we're still okay, as long as he's got to follow this particular rule. And then they broke county policy, you know, by violating this zero tolerance and 2 days off.
And it seems to me that this form is the minimum standards for the federal government. That doesn't mean we can't be stricter than that on our own policies.
Right. So this is something that just a governmental requirement that we have to meet. We can supersede that with our own policies to discipline people the way we see fit on the policies that we already currently have. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, that if one is more restrictive than the other obviously
So
restrictive would take.
Good motion.
we need a motion to send this through to the
I'll make a motion to.
Jack,
Yep.
to the executive committee. Jack, second. Bill Palin. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing is a board action request. The zoning office requests that the petition 21 PC 65 be vacated and the corrected petition be put on the county board agenda. I need a motion to do so. Anybody make a motion? We're just changing the verbiage. We're changing the verbiage. D wants a different verbiage put in there as far as this action. it didn't say special use, so we have to put that verbiage in there. So we're gonna want to eliminate this, then put the new verbiage back in to this petition. So,
I'll make that motion.
okay, Jack, Bill, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Then the new resolution for 21 PC-65, including special use verbiage that was not included in the original resolution. That's just what you guys, yeah, that's what we just put in there. So the old resolution for 21-PC-65 does not include the special use verbiage. Motion to acknowledge the drug and alcohol, no, we already did that. No, we did not, did we?
Yeah, we just,
That's the policy we were just talking about.
Okay, so
It was
I'm
out
sorry,
of, it was not in
It
the
was
same
out of
order,
order.
mind
I'm
you.
sorry.
Yes, because we took it under Greg's report.
because Greg wasn't in here, we were supposed to be, darn it. Okay. That's done. Now, where's that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. This was not. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna, so what Hartwig Mechanical has given us a preventative maintenance program for the courts buildings. Basically to take care of our HVAC system, filter changes, anything that needs to be done to be maintained professionally. They'll come in here up to so many times a month to make sure the filter changes are done properly once we change things around. We've never had anything like this before, and we're kind of paying the price for that. You know, the boilers haven't been gone through properly. They'll do that type of stuff. The filter changes, all this kind of stuff that needs to be done on a monthly basis that our maintenance department will not be asked to do. Greg's been, and his crew have been kind of going through just piecemealing things together, but we need to have preventative maintenance to where all this stuff is done and it's a set price. We're going to table this for, we're going to table it for this month, and we're going to talk about it more. We're getting more information. So you have a detailed outline of exactly what services they're going to provide, but we're going to table it until next month. So what? Can I get a motion to table this for a month? Bill?
I'll second it.
Jack? Thank you, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. So. Hold on.
Aren't you glad you got Becky up there, Tom?
What's that? Yeah.
Aren't you glad you got Becky?
Yes, I do. Okay, so we're gonna see that. Okay, so the petition's going to Planning Commission, there's none. Petitions coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals, there's none. Petitions coming from the Planning Commission, there's none. Renewable Energy Committee updates. Chris is not, I mean, we have no updates from the Renewable Energy Committee. Zoning procedures, restructuring enforcement updates. Board member Rick Humphrey, would you like to discuss anything about what you guys are, some of the stuff you guys were talking about in the zoning office where we're trying to make some headway?
I guess just looking for some input perhaps from the rest of the board members. Talk to Dee and Alice about looking at some things possibly to consider. One of the things is, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about putting in procedures to license and perhaps bond contractors throughout the county that's doing work. That wouldn't fall back on a homeowner naturally that's doing stuff themselves, but to make sure that we getting the contractors up here, taking out permits when they should, make sure they're licensed and bonded so that we can kind of control maybe some of the hodgepodge fly-by-night outfits that might pop up once in a while. So kind of looking at that, and then welcome any comments or thoughts that you guys might have, but I think that'd be a step in the right direction. Been talking about some different things about as far as when an application or what am I looking for?
What's that?
Building permit?
Building permits.
When a building permit might be required or not required. I think that there's situations where building permits have not been required in the past, but it'd be probably good just to have on file so that we can keep record of it, whether we want to waive a fee for it or not, or make a fee minimal. I guess these are just some things that we can look at. So welcome any comments. Just trying to maybe make some steps to improve what the zoning office is doing and get maybe out in front of some of the things that we're always out chasing down and trying to get in front of this stuff.
Yeah, could reconsider insurance requirements on that too.
Back to the bonded part, yes. Making
Well,
sure
a
the
bond,
license-
that's a bond.
Yeah.
We're talking
Well, I
about,
mean,
there's a difference.
yeah, but again, that's part of the thing is to make sure that these contractors, if they go out and, or do something and damage somebody's house and it's not back in the homeowner, that they're in a position where they can take care of their mistakes.
But a bond won't cover that.
Well, it's just, those are the things that we're asking for to make sure that we can benefit. The other thing that we looked at is I asked them to check, see if maybe some of the surrounding counties would be interested in joining in something like this, whereas they'd be licensed and insured for work in multiple counties, but then that raises the question, who's going to monitor it and things of that nature. Just some things that we're thinking about doing, but any type of input you guys might have would be helpful. So to speak.
Yeah, currently the Sterling, Rock Falls, Dixon, they're the only three cities in the state of Illinois that require a tri-city bond to actually work in their towns. So you can't pull a permit without being licensed. And that's basically what we were talking about doing with the county, our county. And going to surrounding county, we're also, to add on to what Rick was saying. All right, we're also going around to the 5 surrounding counties and we're going to get everyone's bonding or I'm sorry, their permitting fees. And we're going to check where we're at with that type of stuff. We're trying to do outlines for the zoning department of how we go about doing fine structures, how we go about doing permits. Why aren't we permitting for this when other county, I mean, we're trying to redo the whole thing to find out where we're laxing or where we're not up to date on things. And we want to stay in the middle of the pack with the rest of the counties that we're wanting them to talk to. And fee structure, what do they require a permit for? I think the requirement for doing that for contractors is a really good thing. We could be on our website to show which contractors are licensed or not licensed, but has a surety bond for our county. It just shows that the county's kind of being proactive to ensure that we have people that are registered doing the work on their homes. But yeah, we're hoping to make headway here in the next 4 to 6 weeks to get some of these outlines and some of the fee structures and the finding structures and all that stuff put in place, because currently we have none of that. And Alice and Dee have been very welcoming of the fact that we're trying to do some of this stuff to help them out as much as possible.
And one of the other things I think we're looking at is the layout of our building permit application form. To
Yes.
Make sure that somebody comes up here, when they leave, they're fully aware of what the requirements are, so that they're not just walking out here thinking they got the green light to go ahead. They might have to check with the fire department, for example, things of that nature. So things that get more user friendly for people coming up here getting things.
And then there's also a lot of commercial stuff that's being permitted for that the, excuse me, the rural fire department chief has the right to go through to make sure that public safety measures have been made on commercial properties. So that's the kind of thing we're trying to get put in here so everybody knows when they come up to get a permit, what the permit entails. If they're gonna do the work themselves, that's great. If they are gonna have something done, that we have registered contractors in the county that are reputable to do the work. So, does anybody else have anything on that? No? Oh, Wendy, go ahead. Oh,
So just a couple things before you adjourn, if you're at that point. All right.
am I good to go? Okay, old business. Thank you, Rick. And Rick's kind of helping spearhead some of the stuff with Dee and Alice, and hopefully get some of this stuff moving forward so we can make progress. Well, that was good. Old business, the repurposing of the old jail continues. The status on that is the architect currently right now is over there measuring. He was in here yesterday. We signed an agreement with Brad Hunsberger. He's over there doing he's taking physical measurements. We can't rely on the blueprints per se because there was no as-built drawings. As-built drawings mean that's the way it was built off of the blueprint. So he's taking physical measurements. He's getting all the demolition drawings put together. Jack Scrogstead is going to be helping the architect through some of the criminal requirements that we have as far as the door mechanisms, the function of the Sally port, and how it's going to need to be done. Jack did that for the county for a number of years. So he'll be working with the architect once he gets all his numbers. Greg and his team went through and got 90% of all the ceilings down and everything exposed. So then the architect and people that are coming in for the demo can see all the mechanical stuff that needs to be demoed. It was all above drop ceilings. That's been gone, and they did a great job getting in there. They think they emptied 3 dumpsters and got rid of a lot of garbage that was just been laying around for a long time. But the status, that's the status on where we're at right now. We should have drawings, we're hoping, by the middle of April, to where we can actually put it out for bid for demolition and that type of thing. But Jack and Brad, we've got a lot of work to do yet with Sheriff Symington's deputy to go over this stuff with Jack and the architect. So does anybody have any questions on the repurposing of the old jail? No. New courts boiler project replacement. Tomorrow we'll be receiving bids. The boilers currently aren't working. So the new bids, we have a form coming in tomorrow. I think we have 4 or 5, it doesn't matter, but we'll be reading the bids aloud tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I believe. Is that right?
10:30.
10:30 in the room. We'll read the bids for the new boiler replacement in the new courts building. And at that, we will not award the contract anyway at that time. It's just everybody can be there that wants to see the bids read aloud. Then we'll, as a board, will make a decision on picking the contractor. And then that the boilers are a 14-week lead time. So we need to get the project awarded and put through as quickly as possible. Does anybody have any questions on the new courts boilers? No? That is getting. What am I doing there? Okay. Okay. So in the new business, item A has been taken care of. I'd like to have a motion to have that. Oh, just something that's informational. It's been taken care of. So there's no explanation from anybody on that. So we've done everything else here, right? You want to say something?
I do.
Wendy's got something to add to this.
So just a quick, you took over one of the topics, which was the boiler. Just a quick follow-up to Tom's comments. We normally would have attempted to have the bid opening in advance of this committee meeting so that you all could hear and help make that decision, but we were under a very short window of time. And as Tom already noted, the boilers are out. So we needed to move forward. So we're opening them tomorrow. As he said, this will move forward with Tom and others, approval and review of those bids. it is our goal to move forward at finance, executive, and ultimately at full board. So this will be on the full board agenda, assuming again, we get bids that are relevant to the RFP that we put out. So just putting that on your radar. The other thing I want to put on your radar is that the chairman asked me to share with all of the committees this month the concept of a multi-use bike path, let's just call it. So this has been something that's been on the radar for the county for a long time, and certainly the city. In our own comprehensive land use plan, we have a greenways trail. Black Hawk Hills has worked with the county on developing the bike or multi-use trails throughout the county. Specifically now, what we're focusing in on is, as you well know, there's a lot of grant money out there coming down from the federal government with, you know, what I'm going to term as quote COVID money. There's a lot of opportunities out there. So an opportunity has been discovered and raised, and I did meet with the city of Dixon at Bob's request on this topic. There's an opportunity for a planning grant to finish a piece of this multi-use path that's been envisioned for a number of years. And that is the piece between Page Park and Sauk Valley Community College. It's my understanding the city of Sterling has their piece from Sterling out to Sauk. They're moving forward with that. They have a private donor that is interested in funding that, or primarily funding that. So the only leg, the only piece that will be missing in this project then is from Page Park Dixon out to Sauk. So there's a planning grant that the city of Dixon would like to partner with us on. They would like the county to take the lead on that grant application, simply because obviously most of the miles are here are out in the county, not in the city. The cost, the absolute have to have cost at this point to apply for the planning grant is estimated to be about $5,000. That $5,000 covers the oh, help me out, Greg. What's the report that we're looking for?
There's a benefit cost analysis.
Thank you. Benefit, all I could think of was the initials, the benefit cost analysis report that would be done that needs to go with the grant application. We are, as always with grants, under a narrow window of opportunity to get involved. The grant application has to be in by April 14th or 15th. So that's why the chairman wanted this to move through committees this month. It will be on finance, it will be on executive, and potentially on your full board for a decision. In addition to the $5,000 for our share, of which the city, by the way, offered to share 50% of that cost, the $10,000 cost, we would pay $5,000, they would pay $5,000 for that benefit cost analysis. There's another question on the table though, and that is in the grant application to be competitive to get another grant to actually construct the project. It is useful and we can be more competitive if we would put in there, we are willing to help match, put in other words, some match dollars towards that. Once again, the city of Dixon said, if the county's comfortable with that, we're comfortable with that. We would split any match 50% with the county if you are interested in moving forward with that. I have not gotten any additional feedback from Bob Olson, but we'll be talking about it more later this finance and then executive and potentially at your full board meeting. Bob just asked me to put that out there so that you're familiar with what we were talking about when it comes up on the agenda. And in the meantime, I'd be happy to entertain any questions, or if you think of any questions between now and the board meeting, just let me know.
Thank you, Wendy. Does anybody have anything for executive session? No, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
Real quick, what was, refresh my memory on our estimated cost on the boilers? Remember what that.
I don't know that I ever heard an estimated cost.
I have no idea. I think it's 250 or 300,000. From what I understand, from what I remember.
I know we talked about it.
At this point, with it going out for bid, I mean, whatever, I mean, we need to have.
You had a cost estimate.
I think we did, but yes, we did have a boiler estimate at one time, so.
Yeah, that was just a budgetary projection,
Do you remember what the dollar amount
like
was?
300,000.
Yeah, I think somewhere there. And I don't know if that'll be that much. I have no idea. Well, the problem is, since we did the budgetary thing and to nowadays world, it's two different prices. Everything has gone up in price. The boilers are ridiculous. So anyway, can I get a motion to adjourn? Rick, Humphrey, Jax,
I'll second.
Jack seconded. Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, guys.